So in this video I'll be looking at a selection of my trees which are in full sun all day, taking a close look at them and thinking about whether they're okay or whether they are in fact dying and I've got a big problem. Hi there maple fans, and in this series of videos I'll be sharing what I do throughout an entire year on a monthly basis. Please note that these months are based on UK timings, but of course can easily be adapted to anywhere else in the world. So we'll start off here with my Moonrise. Gets pretty much shade in the morning but has from about noon sun all day, and this particular cultivar seems to do quite well on this. Things to note here is that it's okay looking at this kind of distance, and probably at this time of year, it's kind of July, it's just after midsummer. That's the correct distance to view maples from. If you get very close, and as I've done here, and have a really good look, you can see imperfections, but honestly this is really quite normal. So we've got a bit of discoloration of the leaves there, and of course we've got the little red tips of the leaves as well. But overall I'm really happy with this. It's absolutely fine. If you want the best possible autumn colour, I'd probably keep this in more shade, because the colour will be sort of more brought out by the tree itself in the autumn, but nothing wrong with that one whatsoever. So moving on now to this Sango Kaku, which is really quite a magnificent tree really, which does very well and looks great the whole year. And what we can see is that some really quite deeper red leaves towards the end of the stems, and in fact, you can see some burn there, you can see some damage. If you go back and look through the leaves, and we'll be doing this a lot throughout this video, so do watch through if you can. You can see a slightly different story. So there's much greener leaves towards the back. The stem looks absolutely fine and lovely with its fantastic pink coral bark colour. So we're kind of looking at assessing how much as a percentage we've got a problem leaves here, and I'd say it's okay. I'm not entirely happy with this. So for me personally, if we're going to have a major heat wave, something like that, I might move it to a bit more shade. But overall, every year goes by, they get a little bit tougher, and I'd probably leave that one be. So I haven't looked at Shaina for a while. This is a cultivar that a lot of people seem to have problems with, particularly in the ground, whereas in a pot it seems to do spectacularly well, to be honest. As long as it's not over potted at all, these are slow growers, and they really do hate that. So the pot almost needs to be too small for the tree. You can just see on some of the leaves there, I was pointing out some sort of rounded tips, and that's very typical of a witch's broom, which is this variety of tree. So what's this in the middle? Is it burnt leaves? Is it a problem? It actually isn't. So sometimes this can fall. These leaves actually come from the tree behind. It's a Lanceria. So this detritus sort of falls on, it kind of goes a bit white and a bit light, and it could lead you to think there's an issue, but it really isn't. So I wouldn't be fooled by that. And also, once again, always good to have a good look inside. And if some of the leaves on the outside were a bit burnt, they're not here. Actually, it's doing really well. And this particular cultivar is really good in full sun. It really is. Then, if you've got plenty of leaves underneath, that can be really helpful, as we'll see shortly. So moving on to Mikawa Yatsubusa, I really do like my copy of this, as you might call it. It is a clone, it is a copy. It's kind of really quite cute and bushy, and there's a hole in the middle of it, the way it's kind of worked out. So I do quite like that, to be honest. And what you can see is that the tips of the leaves here have got this characteristic redness to them. Now some people might not like that, and they've kept their tree in more shade, and yes, you would retain the green colour to some degree. I don't mind it. I think it gives it a little bit of character. And here's a great example again of looking inside, and you've got pristine leaves really. So if you wonder perhaps how your tree might have looked if you'd have kept it in more shade, that's a top tip just to find out, I suppose, and have a look in that kind of way. But Mikawa is a very slow going tree. Again, you really don't want to have the pot too big. You don't want in any maple, but it very is important on some of these trees. What you can see is some little bit of damage on the top, and does it matter? No, because this particular tree has a huge dense canopy, and a few leaves on the top are really not going to make any difference. So Hub's Red Willow, and there are many of these. Kota Nuito is a sort of green variant. Kinshi. These sort of strap leaf, these linear lobum leaves are super plants, to be honest with you, and they do offer something different in terms of texture and the overall look, really. What we can see is exactly what I'd expect, no real problems. Once again, you cannot expect these to be leaf perfect at this stage. The whole point is with deciduous trees, which means they lose their leaves every winter, is they're not designed to be that robust. It's a season's worth of leaf, really, and that's absolutely fine. The leaves will fall and then you'll have another go next year, but at this stage that's looking really good. And just to say, if you'd like to come with me on my Acer journey, please do like and subscribe to my little channel. It really helps. I've also recently set up a Patreon site, so that's a great way of supporting me too, and help out with some of the costs of my excursions, really. There's also the offer of some personal help, if you'd like it, either in a group format or at a one-to-one basis. So when I make these videos, it's often on the basis of listening to subscribers. So if you'd like to subscribe, as you know, I've just asked, then that would be really good. I do listen. I will comment on every comment that you leave. What you can see here is a Seiryu, where there's a lot of colour change going on, and this is absolutely fine. This particular cultivar is really good at developing sort of pigmentation to protect it from sun, really. So all that's happening is the red pigmentation is more sun tolerant and the green is picks up more light, essentially. So the inner leaves are a different colour. Once again, if this was in really full shade, you could definitely say that all of these leaves would be a bright green colour, so you do have a choice. But this particular cultivar thrives in sun and really isn't a problem, at least in the UK anyway. So let's just have a look at Cascade Ruby, which once again is a completely sort of different shape leaf, really. This is not a dissectum, this is a palmatum, but it has the same ability. So the top leaves here have gone to a nice ruby red colour, and you know it's all in the name. It's supposed to be red, actually. It's Ruby Cascade. But looking back where you've got leaves that are fully shaded, we can see they're really green. So isn't it lovely, I think, that the way that the green leaves contrast with the red ones, and it's a bit of a firework in its own right, really. Just looking down there though, hang on, we've got some damaged leaves, but you can just about see some movement there, and that's the point, really, that you can get friction on them. So don't panic because some of the overhanging leaves are a bit damaged, because it just might be wind blowing it gently over a wall or a surface, and that can create a little bit of damage, which does nothing in terms of the overall tree's performance at all. So here in contrast we have Hagaromo, which is looking quite sad, to be honest with you. We've got drooping leaves there, we've got, you know, some new growth, there's some red stems, which is okay, but when leaves get to this state, we really do need to take action. And I'll be honest with you, as I always am on this channel, I wish I'd have done this a few days ago. So it's not really leafed out at its best this year. I like to admit, when I'm at fault, it's probably over potted. I should have kind of waited a bit more to sort of get that root system a little bit stronger. Really important, you know, just taking note of the water level. There's nothing wrong with it. We do need to rule that out, that it's not all soggy and bogged down, and it's not too much water that's damaged the roots, which will eventually dry the leaves out. So because I've been monitoring the water carefully, I know that's not the case. So what I've done is I've relocated that to another section of the garden immediately. You know, the quicker we can take action, the better. And really, I'm not expecting this to kind of make a miraculous recovery and do brilliantly this year, but we're now sort of in a planning stage for the future. It's not such a disaster, I don't think, that we need to repot it or downsize it or do anything too radical. And again, here we can see I've actually had a little change of heart, because we've got Wilson's Pink Dwarf there that's doing very well indeed, and that's going to get a little promotion, I suppose, more to the front. And what we'll do, we'll put Hagaromo there, Hagaromo, sorry, and that's really protected from wind, it's really protected from sun, it's in a very sheltered position. But the real trick is, don't give it too much water. With less leaves, it actually needs less, not more. So if it's dehydrated a little bit, we're not going to cure it by drowning it. So really what I'm saying is that if you've watered everything correctly and used a water meter, and you know that's not a problem, it sort of rules out a huge possibility and allows you to focus on other things. This is dissected filigree. quite like Seiryu, really. It's extremely similar in some respects, but once again has the same properties. It can change colour, it can go a lovely sort of reddy colour, and that's absolutely fine. It's got a bee flying through the frame there as well. So Shishikashira, always a really good tree. The rootstock on that is really thick and really advanced. I think probably because the tree itself is quite slow growing, but has given it a really good head start because the root system is really robust. But here we have the classic turned over leaves. And here I'm just trying to say, you know, if a tree's growing new little branches here, this is how it grows. It's a sort of slightly unusual habit, really. But that's a really good sign too of health, and that you shouldn't really worry. If you look really closely at these little turned over leaves, there is a little bit of drying out, a little bit of damage, but it just isn't anything to be concerned about. And again, if a tree has got an awful lot of leaves like this and they're densely packed, one or two cannot make much difference. But a juvenile tree with, you know, its first few leaves on it that's only just been sort of grafted and quite recently is a totally different kettle of fish. So moving on to a really quite underestimated tree in a way, this little princess, if you let it grow naturally, it will spread very low and very wide, and you don't generally see that, but it does look absolutely lovely. You can also train it up. It's often used as a patio plant. A little bit of dieback there, which has nothing to do with the weather or the summer whatsoever, so ignore that. What you can see is some readiness on the top, but the lush green leaves beneath. So once again, that gives you an idea what would happen if you put in lots of shade, really. But that canopy of leaves on the top will protect the lower leaves. They're not too bad anyway. It's quite nice to get under this tree because it is really odd the way it spreads out so much. So just a very, very nice cultivar, to be honest. Quite happy where it is, and that's another one where I just leave it be, no problems.